Final day of prep for the Texans, and I think Cody Stoots is worried. It is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Supposed to be just one of those calm days. Texans practicing outside. Weather a little bit nicer, especially than it's going to be in Kansas City. By the way, thought it was going to be 25 initially. It might be half that based on the recent weather reports. So what was going to be cold could now be freezing in Kansas City. And now the question is, are you going to have Joe Mixon out there? Joe Mixon today in practice. He did not practice. He's listed as questionable. I don't think there's any chance in hell that Joe Mixon does not play. I think you would basically have to kill him. But Cody, you seem a little bit more worried about this than me, unless I'm just completely blowing your cover.
Well, I mean, it took them forever to send the injury report. Practice ended yesterday late afternoon, and practice today ended early afternoon. It took them forever to send the injury report, so I don't know what the delay was in that. The longer it took, the more worried I got about Joe Mixon not being available. Questionable after a limited, which seems like maybe he got hurt in practice and then did not practice. Like, that's not great. Full health Joe Mixon is one of the best players on this team. Partial health Joe Mixon's still very good, but man.
No, they need full health Joe Mixon. Like, let's just I'm not going to sit here and play the either or with you guys. I'm not going to sit here and say if Joe Mixon isn't a significant contributor on Saturday, they're not going to win. They don't have a chance in hell. Let's just be 100% serious about it and honest with the audience.
Yeah, if Joe Mixon can't go, or he's not even anywhere close to Joe Mixon, their chances of winning is near zero.
They're cooked. Yeah. They're cooked, but he's going to play. So he's fine.
I have no doubt he's going to play. I want to know what shape he's in heading into this game. Like, I mean, a limited and did not practice for this guy that feels like he'd go through anything. It feels, maybe it's overly cautious. Hey, don't want to have him out there on a light day. I'd be interested in finding out like how this popped up, when this popped up. I feel like Azeez Al-Shire is good to go. Team Quintiriano, we think he's going to be the third tight end.
We know. We know.
And
Team Quintiriano is getting activated tomorrow.
And then Robert Woods didn't practice all week, but if he gives it a go on the field before the game in Kansas City, he could play. And if he doesn't, we feel like we Hardy Boyd the solution to the Robert Woods thing.
Yeah, I think Alex Erickson's active. I think those are the two names to watch the next couple of days. Alex Erickson, you might remember when he was with the Texans a few years ago. He actually
don't.
Well, I mean, I do, because I remember he got released, and then I remember the Carolina Panthers picked him up, and then I remember on Thursday Night Football when the Texans were taking on the Carolina Panthers, that honky was back there returning punts. So I do remember that. He is back. He's actually taken over Deontay Johnson's locker. He's right there. Got a real smooth transition. Deontay Johnson kind of had the one right there in the middle. Now you have Alex Erickson, and I would say that the odds are decent that maybe even if Woods is active, I think we might see that honky back there returning punts. So Alex Erickson, Tegan Quintiriano, guys to look at for being active tomorrow. I would also keep a close eye on J.J. Taylor. I don't know whether they're going to do that or not, but I would keep a close eye on that. I think they might have more hands on deck offensively than we thought.
I think there's a chance Andrew Beck and Erickson are the two guys up as well, because Bobby Slowick talked about having to mix and match without Cade Stover with their run blocking. So maybe Andrew Beck and Erickson, maybe Erickson and J.J. Taylor if Joe Mixon is hobbled or not 100%. Although, if without Joe Mixon, you're in trouble. And Erickson, a ton of return experience. I mean, he was Cincinnati's punt returner for a long time. 2017, he led the league in punt returns. 2016, his rookie year, he led the league in kickoff return yards. So ton of return experience for Erickson. So it makes sense if Robert Woods can't go to have him up. And then to Landry's point, even if Woods does go and you want to keep him out there for just wide receiver stuff, you can have Erickson handle all the return stuff that Robert Woods did.
Yeah, I think it's something to keep an eye on. But
you could have Devin freaking Hester back there. It wouldn't matter if Joe Mixon's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, but Erickson for sure. Decent chance. It could depend on what happens with Woods. I think there's also a chance that he's active no matter what. And then J.J. Taylor, Mixon, and Woods guys to keep. Nothing to worry about really on defense. Will Anderson, Danico Autry, they good. And then other than that, you're fine. Dalton Schultz was a full participant today. He's ready to go. And then you have Juice Scruggs and Shaq Mason, which is the other thing to look at. Not necessarily who's active, who the hell's on the field with the offensive line. That's kind of scary to think about as well.
Making the change would just be so dumb. That would be so dumb to make the change for Shaq Mason and for Juice Scruggs. I mean, the line has been fine with Scruggs in there at right guard. It's not going to improve significantly with Shaq Mason there. And I get that Shaq Mason's healthy now. He also hasn't played football in a month. So, I mean, he looked rusty in the middle of the season when he'd played every snap at right guard. I can't imagine how he's going to look coming off of the long rest coming back from the knee injury. So Shaq Mason should not be the starting right guard on Saturday. It should be Juice Scruggs. Have Mason there in case of emergency.
The punt return thing is interesting, and we shout out to everyone coming through. This is SNL, Landry, Locker, Cody, Stoots, Locker Room Night stream every night at 10:30. We've had a nice Kansas City presence in there. Shout out to all the Chiefs fans trying to get the pulse of what's going on. You've come to the right place. Number one radio host in town. Number one Texans coverage guy in town in Cody. And we're on that digital beat, so we got you covered. Appreciate y'all for rolling through and joining us in this digital age. It's kind of scary because, and I think it's kind of funny. I was looking at the punt return layout. 3 of the guys that you have had return punts, 2 are in Baltimore, Steven Sims and Desmond King. 1 is in a hospital bed, Tank Dell, awaiting multiple surgeries.
You're missing one. 3 of them are in Baltimore. Deontay Johnson returned to punt.
Okay. All right. Deontay Johnson too. There you go. Whatever.
Let's be thorough here, Landry. Come on.
And then you have Robert Woods. We don't know what goes on that. So we anticipate the Erickson thing. It is wild how few options there are. JJ Taylor returned some punts the other day in practice. He returned 3 in college. Not a big body of work there. I've seen people say Dameon Pierce. I don't want Dameon Pierce catching a punt. Are you kidding me? That what world are people living in where Dameon Pierce is an option to return punts? I don't even like him catching the ball out of the backfield.
I think people
returning a punt than a kick.
I think people just assume, if they do kickoff, they can do punt return, and it's totally
different. You're not getting the full head of steam. You have to be shifty like that. It's a way different way of catching it. Like, in what world does anyone think Dameon Pierce could return punts? That's insane. That's absolute insanity. That's the last thing that I want. But I think that's the area we go. But I thought it was interesting today at practice. So I won't out who said it. I won't out the guy, but it's someone who pretty close to the Texans. And we're sitting there watching practice, and all of a sudden I hear him go, "Oh shit." And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, "What's up? What's wrong?" "Ah, shit." And I'm like, "What? Like, what's the deal? Like, what happened?" I thought maybe like something happened. He forgot something or something. He goes, "Who were the receivers last year in this round against Baltimore?" And I was like, "Well, I think it was Nico. And then I think Noah was a little bit banged up, and Woods." He's like, "This is even worse off than it was last year. Look at these damn guys warming up." And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look great when you actually watch these wide receivers warm up, to the point where even the Robert Woods, like we're talking about the punt return, he might be your second best receiver right now.
Yeah. It's not nearly, it's somebody brought this up the other day to me. Hey, DeMeco Ryans mentioned separators and adding to the wide receiver position after the Baltimore game last year when the season was over. And then here they are a year later, and they still only have the guys that they have available to them in this one due to injury and, stuff not working out on the back end of the roster with a lot of those guys. So it's not it's not the most talented wide receiver room, that's for sure.
No, it's the least. I actually did an exercise the other day when I was bored, when we had some time, like when we were at practice, and I was like, you remember when they were talking about how bad Deshaun's wide receiver core was in 2020? Like, so I went back and looked at that, and with the number one aside, like if you put Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks aside, we just put that to the side. Would you trade the 2 down from this team for that team? My answer would be yes. Like, But my answer 100,000% would be yes, I would. I wouldn't even have to hesitate. Yes, I would.
Yeah, I mean, Will Fuller, Randall Cobb, Jordan Akins, Kiki Cutie. Haven't thought about him in a while.
Well, even when Fuller was down, like
yeah,
Kiki Hansen, those guys made more plays than John Mechie has in his NFL career.
I mean, Dalton Schultz has 532 receiving yards at tight end. In 2020, Jordan Akins in way less games had 403 receiving yards. So,
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, like Darren Fells. Remember Darren Fells? He randomly caught
touchdowns in 2019.
Yeah, he had 11 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Texans. I think that was the last time he played football.
Yeah, dude, he's an RPO whiz, man. Big dude.
Oh man, yeah. So
I enjoyed talking to him.
It is a dire situation at the wide receiver spot, and they will have to do something to overcome that. And it might just be Nico's got to go supernova, throwing the ball to Joe Mixon, the rushing attack, running with CJ Stroud. Like there's no it's Mechie's turn to step up. That's not happening. It's not happening. There's no stepping up for John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson. They've had their opportunities for 2 seasons to step up. You could give them an excuse last year, first year healthy for Mechie, rookie year for Xavier Hutchinson. You got the excuses. No more excuses this year. You're either an NFL player that can make some plays or you're not. And they've had multiple opportunities from the time that Diggs went down to the time that Tank Dell went down to Robert Woods missing a game here or there. These guys haven't stepped up. So there's no more, okay, maybe they'll step up. It's not happening. There's no steps to step. It's flat. Okay? So they're not stepping up. So you got to figure it out. It's either Supernova Nico or throwing it to Mixon out of the backfield, running the ball well, which is hard to do against Kansas City, or CJ Stroud getting it done with his legs. But it's not John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson and Jared Wayne and Robert Woods that are going to get you here.
Judge Dredge says that they put Dare out there at punt return sometimes. He's never returned a punt in his career, sir. They put him out there in kick return, but he's never returned a punt in his career, sir.
Kick return and punt return are very different, folks.
Way different. Yeah, it's never happened, sir. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll see what it looks like, and it'll be interesting. The defense is really, the good news is your defense is as healthy as you could expect. Saw Jalen today. Jalen dabbed me up. Good to see you. He said, "Good to see you." I said, "Hey, nice seeing you, my friend." Maybe just keeping tabs on how good I've spoken of him this year as compared to last. I don't know, but it's good to see Jalen around.
Yeah, it's nice when you got an injured guy.
No, but it's always been performance based. It's always like he's the perfect guy. It's always been performance based.
It's nice to see the injured guys hang out around the building. Good to see Brevin Jordan moving around after his injury, season-ending injury. You know.
By the way, we've seen Stefon Diggs twice. Like we saw him in his fresh outfit during Netflix game when Beyonce was there. And then we saw him during the playoff game when it was nice and indoors. Is he going to go to cold-ass Kansas City? Is Stefon Diggs going to make a cameo in cold-ass Kansas City to support his teammates? Are we only staying in like the comfort of things?
Come on. I think you know the answer to that one.
This is a good point, and I thought this was an excellent point by Let's Go H-Town. Who said the Chiefs will punt? Texans got a good defense, sir. But that is a good question. Like,
I don't need that. I don't need that defeatist bullcrap attitude in here. Get out of here. Get out of here with that.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
You need an attitude adjustment, sir.
Yeah.
You need an attitude adjustment.
Yeah, it's a fair question. Their offense, the Chiefs' offense is terrifying. I think it's gone from and you look at the stats, like you compare the stats of like Baltimore and Buffalo's like season numbers versus the Chiefs. Chiefs are like in the bottom half of everything, but they haven't had that offense. This offense that they're going to have, they haven't had. They haven't had it as healthy. They haven't had the speed. They're going against the best front seven that they'll go against. So that's a good thing. They're going against probably the best corner duo that they'll go against. So that's a good thing. But as far as this offense, I don't think that this is like, I don't think you can judge the Chiefs offense. I think we have a pretty good idea of what the Texans offense is and isn't. I don't know that we know about the Chiefs. I think we know what Buffalo's offense is. We know what Baltimore's offense is, with or without Flowers. We don't know what this Kansas City offense is. Maybe they overthink stuff though. Like maybe there's some overthinking and there's some efforts to try to get other guys involved in this type of situation. So maybe there's like some overthinking there, but we don't know about this offense. Big Steve says all they do is dink and dunk anyways. They do, but they got speed. Like now they got two guys that can run, like that can absolutely run. Now they hate the cold weather, so rough them up. That's the thing. Hollywood and Worthy, but they got speed now.
Yeah, and Hollywood's first game back was the first Texans game. They only played one real game after that. Hollywood was heavily utilized in both of those games. He had 8 targets against the Texans. The next week, when they went into the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had another 7 targets. He's gone over 45 yards in both of those. He's a really good player. He's experienced. Now he's smaller. Rough him up. I like the one-on-one matchup, but hell, you run him on a cross over the middle to get away with one of those cheap-ass pick plays, and he's running free. He catches the ball, turns that thing up the field, and that's 6 points. Like,
well, the other thing is you're
he's good.
If your defensive line's pressuring Mahomes, Andy's the kind of guy that'll just get the ball in Hollywood or Worthy's hands quickly because he's like that, and they're like that. Yeah. The question I have, like over under 39.5 right now is the yards for Hollywood Brown in this game. I'm saying over. Yeah, it's a prop bet.
It's like the price is right. I'm in the crowd. Higher.
Yeah, that's
higher,
so
39.5
seems like the right one. John Mechie's over under was 37 yards.
Lower.
37 yards. Someone says, can Erickson play wide receiver? He has, but he hasn't in a while. But let's be honest, on this team, the bar's a little bit lower. I haven't really watched him run routes. I've watched Wayne. I like Wayne looks good in the one-on-none warmups.
37 yards for Mechie, huh? That's like when Drew Carey's like, let's see our next product here. And they show you it's a sack of bananas and they're like $18. And you're like, lower.
You watch Price is Right with Drew Carey?
I mean, I did a few years ago.
Way to not say Bob Uecker. You're disrespectful, man.
Way to get his name wrong, dummy. Bob Barker.
Damn it, Bob Uecker died. Damn it.
Yeah. Who's disrespectful now, dumbass?
They do kind of resemble each other. You got to admit, Bob Uecker and Bob Barker do kind of resemble each other.
Yeah. Who's disrespectful
Bob Uecker
now?
just died. He's all over the news, man.
I don't give a damn. Show some respect.
Evan McKinley says, Woods plays and Mixon plays. Go H-Town. Stephen A. said we have no chance. Hopefully they play that soundbite and Rex Ryan's before game. Look, I've said this before. I'm just going to restate it. Not everyone understands. What Stephen A. says about the Texans does not go on my radar. He could say all the good things. He could say all the bad things. I don't care, because the way that he acted when they got rid of Lovie Smith and David Culley and the slimy garbage that he said and then just completely forgot about after they got D'Amico Ryans, I don't care. I've seen people like talking about what Emmanuel Acho says. I care less about what Emmanuel Acho says about anything. I couldn't give a rat's ass what Emmanuel Acho or Stephen A. Smith say, whether they're saying good things or bad things about the Texans. So that doesn't reach my register. You put out a picture. Speaking of Jalen Petrie, Dan Orlovsky said this week that he thought Petrie would have an impact on the game. He's not even playing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Petrie in the secondary be a big key. It's like, no, he won't, Dan.
I like Rex because he's a bit, and I also think Rex is kind of like he's coached teams that understand what kind of attitude you have to have in these types of games. Like 2 of the teams that you point to when you talk about pulling off upsets, he went to back-to-back AFC championship games. So like Rex, I can get down with any of the studio. Just, I don't give a rat's ass what Stephen A. and Emmanuel Acho said. I'm sorry. I respect Stephen A. Stephen A. is like, he works his ass off, all that type of stuff. When he talks about the Texans, I don't care. Same thing with Acho. I don't care if it's good, bad, anything. I don't care.
You also can't go to – I feel like you can't go to that well again if you're D'Amico from a motivation standpoint. Like, you can't go to that well again.
Well, why? I mean, it's the Chiefs. Like, the Chargers, I would see you saying, okay, well, that's the bye week, but it's the Chiefs.
You want to sit there and say, these guys don't think we're as good as the Chargers. They think they're going to run all over us, and you feel like, okay, you're going to go smack the Chargers around. That's what they did. Yeah. Hey, the Chiefs are going to roll you. Yeah, everybody thinks that. And rightfully so. Like, they've earned that level of respect. You still got to go prove them wrong.
Dietology on the Super might be dumb, but would it be bad to bring in Michael Thomas? Yes. Renfro or any other vet. No one you sign is allowed to play for the remainder of the season. That deadline is passed. So even Deontay Johnson can't play for the Ravens. So you can't bring anyone else in. Also,
if those guys had anything, you'd have seen them get workouts elsewhere. Like,
yeah, no, thank you on Michael Thomas. I wanted OBJ. But yeah, I get it.
He's more washed than your favorite sweatshirt.
Also, we are not thinking about 26 days of no play. You don't even wash your shirts. Also, we are not thinking about 26 days of no play. Talking about the rust factor with the Chiefs.
I mean, you can make it a thing if you want, but if there's a coach that I would trust to be able to handle it, a team that needed it, and an offense that's not going to be missing a step when they come on the field, it's Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs. You know, like if the Texans had 26 days off, Bobby Slowick might forget where the field is. Andy Reid's going to have these guys dialed in and ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The rust thing I don't really buy. I don't buy the rust thing at all. Do you?
I don't believe that it has, for these guys, I don't believe it has a factor. Other teams, I would think it matters, but for this Kansas City Chiefs team, I don't believe it's the case.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Another storyline, this one got brought up a little bit. Bobby Slowick interviews for the Jets job. How does that make you feel?
It was 2 days before the Ravens game in the divisional round last year when he interviewed for the Tennessee Titans job virtually, and then he interviewed virtually for the Jets job today. I don't believe he has a shot at this. I think this is their 11th guy that they've talked to. There's guys that have had much better seasons and are more qualified than him. So I don't believe he's got a real shot at this. And I don't care that he spent, this late afternoon talking to the Jets. I don't feel like they're going to be better, or I don't think they're going to be better or worse because he spent an afternoon talking with the Jets.
I think this is good, man. I think this is some of the best news of the week, that Bobby Slowick interview with the Jets. This is awesome. Because now Bobby Slowick goes into an interview where he knows he has zero chance, and the realization that he has gotten so worse for whatever reason is kind of hitting him on a Friday, and he knows that he has no chance to get this job, and he knows that his chance of getting a head coaching job has declined this year compared to last. He might put together his best damn game plan of the year on Sunday. This is
Saturday.
Good. Saturday, damn it. I feel like today's Friday. My body clock says today's Friday, tomorrow's Friday. It's always, damn it, I'm doing what you do that I make
Today's
fun
Thursday,
of.
by the way.
No. I'm doing what you do, and we're kind of role switching here. So I take that back, forget that, delete that.
No, you said it. You said it.
It does
that
finish.
And Price is Right host Bob Euchre. You've said both of those things.
Dude, Bob Euchre died today.
Yeah, I know. He had a good run. 90's a good. I'll sign up for 90 right now.
Well, that ain't happening. I'll bet more on that than the Hollywood Brown thing.
Wow. Okay. All right. You're not exactly a spring chicken going to make it to 90 either.
No, I wouldn't bet on that either. That we can parlay it.
Who's getting closer?
We can parlay it. I don't know. We can race, but we can parlay it. I ain't betting on neither one. I'm betting against. So yes, you are right. Stone's Glass House. Evan says, I also like that D'Amico gets another crack at number 15. And that's always interesting because D'Amico getting a chance at someone the second time around. We saw him with Flacco. Patrick Mahomes is not Joe Flacco. It's a different type of situation. We saw him make Herbert throw more interceptions in one game than he had all season. We saw him give Josh Allen the lowest passer rating of his career. So he does get a look at Patrick Mahomes. That's good because for all this whining and crying about the offense that I'm the ringleader of, although I think it's valid, the defense is just as good, and they're going to be just as prepared. You don't have to worry about D'Amico Ryans finding some mysterious made-up motivation.
And it's a real second crack. Like last year wasn't a real second crack. It was the first game of the season and the end of the season. Like this a month ago, you got to look at these guys. It's within the range where DeMeco Ryans usually takes a look at the opposing team's film and what matters the most to him. He doesn't go look at everything. He kind of takes the majority of his look from what they've been recently doing. And that was the, next to last real game that they played of the regular season. So it's a real second crack. It's not been often that he's gotten a real second crack at a quarterback in his short time as the head coach of the Texans.
Flacco
last year.
Anthony Richardson.
No, he didn't get Anthony Richardson twice last year.
Oh, you're talking about in the same year?
Yeah, I'm talking about in the 2 years.
Lawrence twice, although he beat him and then they won.
Levis missed a game, didn't he? Or did he play both of them last year? He's so in and out of the lineup. I never know. He was like half the starter this year after starting one game.
Both. I think he played both.
Lawrence twice last year. Lawrence twice. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like the other teams have kept him from getting the double cracks at guys.
Jarek Inlow says on the soup, if the Texans lose this game, fall to 0-6 in the divisional round, major changes will be needed, starting with the divas at left guard, left tackle, and OC. That needs to happen no matter what. Not the OC, but even if they win this game, they need changes on the offensive line in the offseason. I would agree with that.
Also, you can't use the whole franchise's history against DeMeco Ryans in this round. I would say 0-2 in back-to-back years. And if you have a lot of the same issues that occurred last year in the divisional round,
Good catch.
You can add that into some evidence.
First game and last game against Lamar Jackson. I actually thought if the offense would have had a pulse, I think that game could have been different. They just ran out of steam in the second half. Lamar didn't look good in the first half of the playoff game last year. He did not. Yeah,
and then you had I couldn't vividly remember DeAndre Houston Carson trying to chase down Ravens at the end of that game. Didn't work out well.
Forgot about that.
But yeah, Landry's right. You gotta fix the offensive line. I don't care if they're playing in a parade here in a few weeks. You still got to fix the offensive line.
Yeah,
and we'll think differently.
With this O-line. If you run it back with this O-line, that's crazy.
And Bobby doesn't feel like a diva. He's not a diva.
Nah, he's the opposite. He's far from it. Far from it. Good dude.
In fact, I kind of wish he had a little bit more diva to him.
Why?
I don't know, because what he's doing right now ain't working.
Evan says if Bobby walks, who do we like at OC reasonably? Josh McCown. Josh McCown. All day, Josh McCown. Every answer, anytime you ask me to hire anyone, it's Josh McCown. You ask me who to hire at Walmart, Josh McCown. You ask me to hire neighborhood security, Josh McCown. You ask me who to hire as a head coach, Josh McCown. Offensive coordinator, Josh McCown. Josh McCown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bobby's leaving because they have to fire him or he'd have to get a head coaching job. I don't believe either one of those is happening. But I would think that McCown's on the short list for a lot of people. It's an intriguing name. Nick Caley is a guy that they interviewed last year. He's over on McVay's staff right now. Had a chance to be the Patriots OC last year. He turned that down to stick with McVay for another year.
Look at that. Smart guy.
So
that's a smart guy right there. Almost makes me want him. That's a smart SOB.
Yeah, that was digging into Caley, the fact that they talked to him last year. They talked to 3 guys for their OC job last year before they ended up hiring Bobby. They talked to Kingsbury and they talked to Nick Caley. And, he coached in New England for a long time and then went to LA. Then Gerard Mayo tried to hire him to be the OC. He said no. They offered him $3 million to be the OC, and he said no. And he's stuck in LA for another year with McVay.
Good for him.
So I also have a total, complete, rolling, updated list on Houston football of those potential OC names if you want to go check that out.
Someone asks if you ate your Larry asks if you ate your Fruit Loops today. What does that mean?
I don't know. Is he saying that I'm grumpy or something?
Do you eat Fruit Loops? When's the last time you ate Fruit Loops?
Fruit Loops.
I feel like you're one of those guys. Fruit Loops is what?
Fruit Loops is very low on my list of cereals if I was picking.
I could see you eating a donut that has some Fruit Loops on it or something like that, like one of those exotic ass
donut,
massive ass donuts. Yeah, the exotic crazy donuts. I could see you eating.
Fruit Loops don't taste good, so I wouldn't eat Fruit Loops.
Like those donuts that you eat in the press box.
Now, if they had like a Fruity Pebble donut, I'm all in.
What are those donuts called that you be grubbing on?
Voodoo Donuts. They get Voodoo Donuts in the press box for home games.
Yeah, those things are a little much for me. There's a lot going on there. There is a hell of a lot going on there.
Well, you don't like sweets.
Nah.
I'm addicted to sugar. You don't like sweets.
I like cheesecake. But I'm not big in sweets. I don't like birthday cake. But yeah, there you go.
Do you like cannolis?
What are cannolis again?
Cannolis are like the Italian dessert. It's like the fried shell, and they fill it with
those are lame.
Okay, I had a cannoli cream bagel the other day. It was very good.
All right. On that note,
oh no, I got a couple more OC names in case people are interested.
All right, go ahead.
T. Martin, he's the quarterback's coach for the Baltimore Ravens.
God, I feel old. He won the national championship. Threw it to Peerless Price when Peyton Manning left.
Yep,
he was State, Snoop Minnis.
National championship winning quarterback at Tennessee. Previously called plays at USC.
Draft before Tom Brady
for a few seasons. He's bounced around a couple different times. He was a tight ends coach, and then when Todd Monken came in, Monken moved into QB coach, and oh, by the way, Lamar's about to win his second MVP in a row. I'm not saying T. Martin's responsible for it, but it's not like he's useless. You know,
I like T.
T. Martin's a name. Texans fans remember this name, Dave Ragone.
Oh wow,
Dave Ragone.
He was.
Dave Ragone. People thought he maybe could have taken over for Matt Schaub. Not the case.
Lefty.
Dave Ragone.
Louisville, right?
Yes.
Louisville lefty? Yeah, remember him.
Ragone has coached with McVay twice. He's currently on the Rams staff as a quarterback's coach. And McVay talked about, this is one of the guys he's gone out of the way to praise about how smart he is and how much he's integral to the teams that he's been on. And I really like Ragone's history. He coached under Matt Nagy in Chicago. He coached under Arthur Smith in Atlanta. Now he's coached under Sean McVay for a second time. So Ragone, and of course, you want to keep the whole Texans theme going. D'Amico is pretty good.
He's
Dave
not
Ragone.
looked at as like a Texan.
He's a Texan for 3 seasons. He's the second quarterback the franchise ever drafted, I think.
Looking at what Dave Ragone looks like right now. All right, yeah, interesting aging going on there. I'm not like judging. He looks like the exact same.
Yeah, he
looks like literally the exact same.
Yeah. It's actually kind of weird. He just looks the same dude.
Looks the exact same. Dietology again. Last question: do players? Ask as many questions as you want, my friend. Last question: do players or coaches ever give y'all a cold shoulder for talking about them? What is the dumbest misconception about us? I'd get called out every once in a while, like especially on the radio and stuff, because I always preface, like when it's a radio interview and you're talking to someone for 15 minutes, it's a lot different than if you're in like a media scrum. So if there's if we're doing a radio interview and like we're talking to someone and it's like Tim Settle, and I actually told him this year, like I would say, yeah, it was a running joke that the Texans settled for you when they didn't bring in so-and-so. So I'll like say what I said about them to them, just like, so I can kind of eat some crow. So sometimes you get some crap and stuff. Hannah's giving me crap about liking Bryce Young. She just talks shit though.
This year I haven't seen a player cold shoulder. Not either of us.
Des Bryant's tried fighting me almost, but that was like and that's him. He's got problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason Kidd's bowed up to me, but like it's nothing bad.
Derek Barnett knew I wanted to talk to him. Popped in the locker room and left one time. So
yeah, but he doesn't like to talk to anybody. So he doesn't want to talk. He might not even Derek Barnett when he gets in his car. He might not even turn the radio on. Or our Bluetooth or anything. Derek Barnett might be a ride in silence guy, dude.
Listen to the car, make sure it sounds good.
Right. Yeah. He might
Car sounds good. Don't need another oil change for another 1,000 miles.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's hopping in with like the quiet, like the whole hey, be quiet before we get there. Derek Barnett's a hardo, dude. Yeah, I could see that. But no, as far as like getting mad, Caserio will like call me out on stuff I say, but it's not like anything. Like when was it? Oh, it was when D'Amico was hired. He came, hey, I heard I got some flowers or something like that. Like, but nah, like as far as like if you say what you say, you live by, it's not personal. I'm not trying to be buddies with them. They're not trying to be buddies with me. You're trying to kind of be the voice of the fan.
Yeah.
Keep the new age of journalism with like the old school ethics and stuff. And it's all good. Like it's not that deep. So I don't think it's anything crazy. Easterby got pissed at me because I talk about him, but I said it to him. But O'Brien and me actually, like he joked about me calling him a football idiot. And I just said, dude, you've been an idiot since you were GM. And we had like 3 beers together, like at the, like he stayed after like something and we had 3 beers together. So it's not anything like that big.
Yeah. I feel like most players don't give a crap. You know,
Say it again.
I think most players don't give a crap.
Say it again.
I think most players don't give a crap
On this squad. Most, yeah, you're right about most.
Like what am I saying wrong? Like if I'm saying something wrong, fix it.
You're right. Most don't.
Yeah.
I think Titus getting off
Titus
Twitter
Howard had to delete his Twitter because people were mean to him.
And that's the best. That's the best. And that means he cared. But that's the best thing that he did this year.
But Titus Howard would still have a conversation with you about offensive line or the upcoming opponent and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, it's just about performance. It's not anything crazy. Someone brings up the Colts, Franklin and Speed. They're a joke in Indianapolis now. Like they're a running joke with media, fans, all that. They've really
to talk all that mess they did on that podcast and go out there and have the season they did. Woo.
Yeah, I think the only time that I've seen some players like really care is if there's like people in the media that are trying to be their buddy and then like try to like bounce the line. But if you know right away, dude, you do your thing, do mine. I don't think they really care. But I think if you try to balance it, it can kind of get a little bit interesting. I brought this up yesterday. Never mind. Let's go.
Now, see, you're robbing the people there when you do something like that. It's gonna be something stupid though, because you're laughing. You know, is it gonna piss me off? Go ahead.
So, I thought it was really funny how. And shout out to him. He's been all over like the O-line shuffles and stuff like that. I thought it was crazy that Aaron Wilson yesterday put out that Tank Dell was going to have a full recovery on his first of like multiple surgeries before the stitches are even like non-bloody around him, like on that. Like I almost feel I get it. It almost feels like a keeping it real goes wrong type of thing where you're like trying to say something like good about the player, but it's almost like impossible to say type of thing. How you say he's going to have a full recovery with all those surgeries that he has ahead of him.
I think that puts Tank in a really precarious position.
I was like, well, because you know how it is, you know how it goes, like in the aggregating age, like where stuff happens, like you like someone says, Tank Dell expected to have full recovery per Aaron Wilson. It's like, can we let him walk or like get through, like get under the needle multiple times before we talk about that?
Like some fantasy website has already been like, Dynasty update. If you've got Tank Dell, hold on. If you've got a keeper league, you might want to keep Tank Dell. Aaron Wilson covers the Texans and says,
and he covers them closer than anyone. In fairness, he covers them closer than anyone. But how about hopeful he can recover and return to play expected. First surgery as good as possible, but like full recovery, return to play expected eventually for a young player with such a strong work ethic and desire for the game. First of all, I don't know that he fully recovered from his injury last year. Like, I'm not saying that to be an asshole. Like, I don't know that this year, like he actually recovered from his injury, like fully last year. It's hard. Like when you, like some guys are never the same after a torn ACL. So I don't even know if that happened, but full recovery expected. I was like, Man, I don't even want to put that on him.
Yeah, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. So I meant to ask Aaron about that. Still,
I did too. But we got to practice and there was no mixing and there was no wood, so I had forgotten. But I want to ask him about it. He'll be funny about it. But I was
Dr. Aaron.
I thought that was so funny.
He said that
he's having multiple surgeries, and he just like had the
first of several surgeries
1 hour ago, and it's like full recovery expected.
I saw that tweet last night, and then I watched some new doctor show, and like in the first 5 minutes, the head doctor was like, "Did you tell this lady that she's going to be okay?" And the guy was like, "Yeah." She's like, "We don't sell hope, we sell reality." I was like, he's like, "Well, I thought it'd be like okay." She's like, "No, the reality is we don't know. We can't determine if she's going to be okay." The lady had like a cold.
We're like
Tank had like massive knee surgery.
Well, the thing is, like, we're kind of having some fun with it, but I can't imagine, like, first of all, like, even when I got like my gallbladder out or something like that, like I was like, oh, I gotta say, like, you're kind of like nervous. Like, could you imagine you do that? It's much more intense. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more craftsmanship or whatever the hell. I know that's not a medical term, but you know what I mean.
Craftsmanship, huh?
Whatever, dude. There's a lot more slicing going on.
Well, let me go to the Home Depot, fix up Tank Dell's leg.
But you go through that. Then you're trying to heal, and you're not even looking forward really to healing, because once you heal, they're going to do something else. And then once you heal from that, you're going to have to do something else. And then you're going to have to learn to walk. And then you're going to have to like build up the strength that you had before. Like, man, that is, God bless the guy, man. Like that is a very, very stressful, tough thing that Tank Dell is dealing with. Like that's crazy, man. Like even people who go have like one surgery, shout out to you for recovering for that. No matter what surgery you've had. Now, if you get your wisdom teeth out, congratulations for getting through that. That can be stressful for people. But to go through multiple big time surgeries, man, like the last thing that I'm thinking about is at the moment is I'm going to play. I'm going to get through this surgery. Please, God. I'm going to heal. I'm going to get through this surgery. Please, God. I'm going to heal. I'm going to get through this surgery. Please, God. Don't know if I have any more. Like that's a lot, man.
Yeah. And I don't think Aaron did it like on purpose or like but it set a very high standard that I don't believe anybody should believe at this point is the likely outcome.
Ragnar Ragnarsson said, would love y'all to debate Stephen A. His bias is incredibly annoying. So Stephen A., I don't listen to anything Stephen A. says about Texans. And quite frankly, he's way above like our weight class. He's going on with like freaking news. I have worked with Stephen A. for a week one time in somewhat like of an intimate setting.
You got intimate with Stephen A. Smith?
No, but like it wasn't like a
who bought dinner.
Nah.
Did you hold the door for him or did he hold the door for you?
I held the door for him 5 times. So it was at ESPN in Dallas, and he was in town for the playoffs, and I was at night. This was like when I first started my career. This was like 2008. And Stephen A. was doing his radio show in the studio. So I was in charge of, while I was working, I had to go down and I had to let Stephen A. in, and I had to like if he needed like something printed, I had to get it for him. If he needed audio, I got it for him. And he would just get on the Comrex and he would talk down to those folks. He was cool. I didn't even like get a picture with him or anything like that, but it was like
he talked down the line, not talk down to them.
No. Well, sometimes he would be like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd catch some combos, but like he would be in the studio. I'd be like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But it was to where like, hey, Landry, what's up? Like the 4 days. But the first time I saw Stephen A., dude, this is like vintage Stephen A. Smith, brother. So I get the call like in the hotline, and like when you're in a radio studio, it's like hotline, whatever. And it says Stephen A. Smith. So I know it's Stephen A. Smith, and I pick it up and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, hey, Stephen A. down here, man. Can you come pick me up? Can you come get me? I'm like, sure. So I go down, I get Stephen A. When I go there, I think this was in the BlackBerry days, because I think he's like holding his BlackBerry. Like that's how long it was. Like this BlackBerry was still around. he's sitting there on the phone and he's just like, oh, he just walks in. He's like dabs me up while he's on the phone. And we walk to the elevator and he's just sitting there and he's like, oh, come on. Nah, come on. Nah, stop. We get in the elevator. He's like, you're going to get me in trouble. Now, don't be saying that, baby. I got to go to work.
Oh, no.
Don't be saying that, baby. I'm just sitting in the elevator. It's just us two. He's like, oh, you wearing what? Baby, I got to go. And he just like clicks his BlackBerry off. He's like, what's up, Stephen A. Smith?
He said, bye, Joy.
No, come on. The hell is wrong with you? Look at this. He got the Joy Taylor jokes going on right now. No, but he was a nice guy. That was before he was. I mean, that was when he was like
on the way up.
Yeah, he was on the way up, and then he was. I think he was probably pretty. He was pretty high up though, but not on this level.
He had the midday show at that point, I guess.
He was in New York.
Oh yeah,
he was on ESPN, but he was still doing his radio show in New York. I think he might have been with Ryan Ruocco at the time or something like that, like when Ruocco first started. I'm not sure because it was when there were like ESPN had 5 branches and New York was one of them. Chicago, like they were putting money into radio, and Stephen A. was there. So yeah, he's doing his thing. Nice. Someone says Stephen A. was talking to Manti Te'o's girlfriend on the elevator ride.
Oh no!
Like Shannon Sharp's fake Instagram hookup.
Still, Shannon. Oh God, Manti Te'o's girlfriend is still one of the wildest stories ever.
Dude, I can't. He has that Netflix documentary poster behind him when he's doing like NFL Network stuff, and I'm like, dude, you're proud of that?
That's not something to be excited about.
I can't feel sorry for you, man.
And then that was let me see if I have this right. So he was getting Heisman Trophy buzz, and people were trying to talk down about Johnny Manziel, like he's not the spirit of the award. And then this Manti Te'o stuff eventually dropped, and it was like, that's also not the spirit of the award.
Was Manti after Manziel?
I think it was the same year.
No, because Johnny won eventually.
Correct.
This was Johnny's second. I don't know. Anyway, we're good, man. I took us down a rabbit hole.
How do we get there? Yeah.
Don't know, man.
This is Stephen A.'s fault.
Stephen A. Shout out to Stephen A. A lot of people mad at Stephen A. It's all good. It's Stephen A., man. You don't got to worry about him about the Texans.
It was Ragnar that got us there, wanting us to fight Stephen A.
So tomorrow, 4:00, we'll get the full practice report. We'll get the final one. Elevations. I mean, we'll get. They're not even going to put one out, are they?
Nope. Today was the last one.
All right, we'll get the elevations then. Yeah. Damn. Tomorrow is Friday. Today is basically Friday. All right, I'm confusing myself. Anyways, the elevations. Erickson,
the game's Saturday at 3:30. In case you're wondering, Landry.
Erickson, Quitteriano. Wait, it's not Sunday. Erickson, Quitteriano, the guys to look out for, as well as Taylor, not Joy Taylor, JJ Taylor.
Yeah, if JJ Taylor gets elevated, then there's a lot more worry for Joe Mixon.
Or he's just a punt returner if it's just him and not not Erickson.
If it's Erickson and Taylor, worried about Mixon. If it's Erickson and Beck, no worry about Mixon. And Quitteriano's going to be added to the active
Don't listen to worried Stoots. Mixon's playing, okay?
I never said he wasn't going to play. I just worry about how well he's going to play.
Appreciate everyone for coming through. Full 100, a few hundred deep, and we appreciate y'all very much. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.